the Dolphins, 14 points mustered up. Do you lose confidence in the Dolphins after that game?
Of course. I never had any confidence in the Dolphins outside of Tyreek Hill, but if it's no Jalen Waddle, it's pretty pathetic. And for a team that's like, oh yeah, watch the Dolphins go out here and rack up yards on yards on yards, I'm like, please tell me against who? Against the Denver Broncos, who apparently Sean Payton came out was trying to sabotage Russell Wilson this year. Against, oh wait, you couldn't even do it against the Tennessee Titans because he blew the first two touchdown lead with 3 minutes left to go in a game, and you let Will Levis do that in your house. Oh yeah, when was that? On prime time. And then for me, it's a little bit of Andy Reid issues with earlier in his career, and also Kyle Shanahan issues with Mike McDaniel, because Devon Achane was running all over the Bills. He averages the most yards per carry in the
Mhm.
NFL this year.
Yep.
He's the fastest running back. How many run plays did we see like we saw in the first half? In the
Mhm.
second half, it seemed like they completely abandoned the run game when
Mhm.
they weren't trailing the Buffalo Bills. And at the end of the day, it came down to a punt return when the entire Miami Dolphins defense had gotten hurt. We had Jalen Ramsey out there, but Stephon Diggs was burning Jalen Ramsey. And if Josh Allen hit him on that pass, he would have had a wide open touchdown there. So it's like for the Dolphins, it's like they played about as good as you could play, but at the end of the day, I'm never in love with Tua, and then he threw 2 interceptions in that game, and as soon as the Dolphins got the ball, you're like, "All right, let's see what they can do." I'm like, "Yeah, they'll probably throw a pick on this drive." And as soon as Tyreek Hill goes to the sideline, what does Tua do? He
The
throws
very
the
next
pick.
pass.
Yeah, and then Tyreek Hill, 13 targets. Next highest receiver with the target, 3 targets. So it's like when you're this dependent on one player who can't get himself the ball, and then the run game is working and you abandon that, it's like, "Oh yeah, Mike McDaniels, what a big brain. The run game's working. Let me completely get rid of that." And Mike McDaniels at this point, it's like, I like him. He's a good head coach, but that interview where he's like, oh, wait, you don't have any other questions for me? It's like, it seems like he likes hearing himself talk a little bit too much. And at this point, he seems like he's a little bit overrated as a head coach, at least offensively, because anytime they face a team with a winning record, they drop 20 points. And the
Mhm.
only team that they beat was Dallas, and Dallas is, you know how they are on the road against good teams. Not very good. Same with the Dolphins. And they're kind of the mirror image of each other, but in opposite conferences. And then for the Bills, it's like Josh Allen had 3 turnovers, and you still won that game, but it was on a punt return. So how confident do you really feel going into the playoffs?
Yeah, with the Dolphins, this is my analogy that I've come to feel with Tua. The Dolphins, what does every media pundit talk about with them? They talk about speed. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon A Train. They're surrounded by a bunch of Lamborghinis, but the person who's manning it all is driving a Corolla, and that's Tua Tagovailoa. He's a good dependent car, but with you're surrounded by all this speed, but you can't move. With Tua, it's not that I think he's a bad quarterback, but in the situation that the Dolphins are in, the kind of offense that Mike McDaniels wants to run, it makes way more sense for me for them to go ahead and maybe they try to do a swap with Justin Fields where they trade Tua to the Bears because the Bears I feel like would fit better with Tua than the Dolphins because they're not necessarily trying to run the ball down your throat, or if they are, they're trying to be a big physical running team. And plus, I think that with a Cole Kmet and DJ Moore, he'd still be an adequate quarterback.
In Chicago?
Yeah, I think so.
Outside? I don't know.
I think he would be fine. And then Justin Fields and that offense, I think would work a lot better. He can still push the ball down the field to people like Tyreek Hill. He's fast. They want to run RPOs, but they really can't with Tua. So I feel like in a situation where you can package a Tua for Justin Fields, or maybe if it's possible to do a 3-team trade, they could do something like that. Because the Bears, the Bears don't really make sense for Justin Fields for what he wants and what the offense has there. And for the Dolphins, like Tua doesn't really fit what they have. And plus, I just don't think Tua's that guy for them at this point.